Hello everyone, it's Jen. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm really excited to be participating in the Trinity Stamps Shaker Hop. I'm going to be featuring the Monster Love stamp set, but I'm bringing in a couple other stamp sets. I'm using some of the candy from the candy jar stamp, and then I'm also going to use the present from the Seasonal Sweetheart and the birthday sentiment from the Ocean Reef Builder. So let's jump into the coloring. And I'm going to start off with our green little monster, and I'm going to do a 3-color blend here. I'm using YG17 as my darkest marker, YG03 as my mid-tone, and YG01 as my lightest. I love this color combination. It blends really nicely, but it still gives you lots of contrast and then a bright highlight. So for this little guy, I'm adding the darkest shadows around his little belly there, to the outside of his fur, and then the underneath of his arms and where his arms are touching his body. I added some shadows around his horn and a little bit on his hair tuft there. I'm not going to be coloring the images all the way down because I already know that the bottom half of them are not going to be showing because I'm going to place them inside my shaker window. For the little pink monster, I love the little eyeballs on top of the antennae. I'm using the color combination of RV09 as my darkest, RV13 as my my mid-tone, and RV02 as my lightest marker. This is a really nice bright pink color. I was inspired by tie-dye for this card. So I recently saw a post on Facebook saying that tie-dye was coming back in, and I remember it as a child. I'm probably dating myself a little bit, but I just thought that I could do a fun card with some ink smushing and some bright colors. So that's where the inspiration came for this one. I've got my little pink monster colored up, and I'm going to work on my purple monster. So I'm using V17 as my darkest, V15 as my mid-tone, and V12 as the lightest. That V17 is quite dark, so I'm just touching the tip of my marker lightly. Again, adding the shadows around the outer edge of the monster, and then under his arms would also cast a shadow as well. Blending that out with the V15 and then blending the mid-tone out with my V12. I decided to go over his little eyebrows there with the V12. I will come back in and darken that afterwards. With the purple, I felt like my darkest colors got pushed back a little bit too much. So I'm going to go ahead and add another layer of color. This also adds to a really smooth blend. Purples are often really hard to blend. This is a really great color combination, and I would recommend it if you're looking for a good purple combo. But using the second layer there really helps. So I'm just adding some final details here. Decided to come back in with the darkest markers for the nose and the belly of our green monster, and then the darkest purple for the eyebrows and the mouth of our purple guy. Decided to keep their horns in a white color, so I'm just adding some shading here with the C3, the C1, and then blending that out with the colorless marker. I also decided to do the mouth of our pink monster in the white as well because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with that, and I didn't want to pick a color that wouldn't look good. I am going to bring in a silver marker at the end, a glitter marker, and go over some of these white areas just to add a little bit of fun to these characters. Going to add some black glaze pen to their eyes. This will just give a nice raised effect, and it's such a nice crisp black. It really helps bring your critters to life, and in this case our little monsters. So I went ahead and fussy cut these, and now I just want to take my craft knife here and cut around the arms of the purple monster because I want him to be holding a present and to kind of be peeking out of our shaker window. So this is really simple to do. So I've got him cut out and he's ready to go, and we can start working on the background. So I decided to do some ink smushing. I haven't done, or smooshing, whatever you want to call it. I haven't done this in a while, and I miss this technique. It's one of my favorites. So I'm using Distress Oxide in Wilted Violet, Picked Raspberry, and Twisted Citron. I just added some water here with my Distress Sprayer, And I am using some Bristol Smooth cardstock for this, I believe. I'm going to take a paper towel here and just dab up where there's some excess water. I don't want the colors to meld together too much because I don't want to create any brown or yucky colors, for lack of a better word. I wanted this to be really bright and vibrant. So I'm just going to play around adding some more ink to my background till I get it to where I want it. And then after this dried, I felt like the green was a little bit too light to match our monster. So I decided to come in with the Mowed Lawn, which is more of a brighter green, and it just matched the color combination that I used for the monster much better. So I am going to go over the original green areas with the Mowed Lawn, and I do like that color much better. So I'm going to set that aside to dry for a little bit, and I went ahead and added some double-sided tape to the back of it. I'm using a stitched heart, and I'm going to die cut that with my die cutting machine. I love this stitched heart. This is from Heffy Doodle, and it leaves a stitch detailing on the inside and outside. So if you use it as a frame, it has that gorgeous stitch detailing, and then if you use the heart, it's got the detail as well. So I peeled off the release paper on my double-sided paper, so it's nice and sticky on the back. I wanted to put my monsters down first before I added my acetate for the shaker window. The thing is that double-sided tape is super sticky, so you can see it sticking to my hands, and then this purple monster wasn't quite where I wanted it, so I had to play around with that a little bit. And you can see me fumbling here, but I finally get him into place, and then I can go ahead and I can cut off any of the overhang of the little monsters. I do like adding the large double-sided tape to the whole panel. It just gives some stability. And then I'm going to bring in my acetate, which actually isn't acetate at all. I use projector transparency sheets. They are super affordable, and so they come in 8x10 sheets or 8.5 by 11, and I just cut them down into 4.25 by 5.5, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the whole panel here, and this adds stability to the shaker card as well. I will link that below. I do get it on Amazon, and it works out to like 1 cent a card as opposed to buying acetate. I've gone ahead and added my foam to the back of my panel and created my little well here for all my shaker bits. I used my powder tool there just to get rid of some of the static from the transparency sheet that I'm using. And now I'm going to fill up my shaker. So I'm using the Sweetheart Sprinkle Mix, and these are really fun, bright colors as well. And then I'm going to bring in the Slumber Party 2mm round sprinkles and just fill up that shaker window so that you can't really see much behind it, because I am just going to add some white cardstock to the back. I didn't want anything to compete with the bright color. I'm just using my scissors here to ensure that all those little shaker bits are in the window well and not on the foam tape, and then I'm just going to add my white cardstock here, and I'm going to press that down really firmly to make sure that I have good stick and that none of my shaker bits are going to fall out of the window. So I did add some more double-sided tape there, and I'm going to add some liquid adhesive, and then I'm going to add my card panel to my card base. And I did pretty well with lining this up. I just had to trim off the bottom a little bit. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the little birthday accessories here to my monsters. So these are the presents from the Seasonal Sweetheart stamp set. And I played around quite a bit with that one monster there, the pink one, to the top. What I should have done is add some of the little presents or whatever before adding the window pane or the acetate. But this one, I felt like there was lots of space beneath the mouth of the monster and then the outside of the heart. So I thought about adding the present to the inside of the shaker, but then I wasn't too sure about that because the other two presents I had on the outside of the window. So I went to see if I could tuck those in, but there was no way. Those monsters and the top panel were adhered so tightly by the double-sided tape. But that's okay. I'm going to figure this out. I've got these little lollipops from the candy jar, and I'm actually going to use those as balloons. Just trying to figure out how many I want to use, but I felt like 3 with that one pink monster was just too much. So I am going to add the purple one, and I am going to bring the present back for her eventually as well. I'm going to have the little green monster holding a balloon in his hand, and then I'm going to have this green balloon behind the present for our purple monster. I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive to my images, and I'm going to make sure the monsters are also glued down to that transparency or the shaker window. And liquid adhesive works perfectly fine for that. I'm going to adhere this purple present into his hand, and then I can go ahead and adhere the rest of the bits for the purple monster as well. Once I get those in place, I'm going to work on my sentiment. So for that, I'm going to use the happy word die from Trinity Stamps. And I cut that out with some bright pink cardstock from my stash. And then this is the birthday word from the Ocean Reef Builder stamp set. And I'm going to stamp that out with my VersaFine Claire Nocturne ink. I'll stamp that a couple times just to ensure it's nice and crisp. I love this ink. It is my go-to, definitely, for sentiments. And here's the happy die. I've gone ahead and added my glue to the back of it. And I'm just going to add that on an angle over top of the birthday. And I went with the pink because I thought it matched well with our pink little monster and kind of balanced out the card with the pink on the top and then bringing you down on a diagonal to the opposite corner. So here's where I decided to add the present to the pink monster to balance out and add some green to her. And then I had another little monster here cut out and colored, so I decided to put that on the inside of the card. And I'll go ahead and add a couple of these little hearts as well in the 3 colors that I colored the monster, and that will finish off the inside of the card. To add some details, I'm going to add some white gel pen, and I'm just going to do some highlights on the monsters, and this just brightens them up a little bit. And then I'm bringing in this silver glitter pen, which is from Martha Stewart. I think I got this in a past card kit. So I'm just going to go over some of the white areas, and that will just add some glitter to my card. And I will do the bottom of the balloons as well in the silver. I'm going to add a little bit of silver to the horns of our purple monster and our green monster, and then I'm going to add some of that silver glitter to the eyeballs of our pink monster as well. And that's our card today. There is a giveaway open internationally. All the information will be linked below. You can win a chance, or you can have a chance of winning $25 gift card to Trinity Stamps. So the next person on the hop will be listed below. Hope you have fun. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.